Hi again! This video is part 2 of the SQL Grouping and Analysis series. In this tutorial, we'll learn how to create new calculated columns with expressions, just like in Excel, and how to select certain data within groups by applying additional criteria, or in other words, how to filter the selected data. Here you can see the result of our previous video, but if you haven't watched it, here's a recap in 10 seconds. 1. Select linked tables. 2. Check the fields. 3. Set grouping. 4. Set aggregate functions for unit price and quantity. And 5. Put the product name column up front to see a product-oriented preview. Okay, now we should all be on the same page. So we already know that each row in the group query result is calculated based on a group of source rows, and that there's a lot of data fields that describe orders, products, and shipments besides these 4. And we got this result based on an explicit set of shipments with no exceptions. But what if we need to select a specific subset within all shipments? For example, let's apply a filter to see shipments in 1997. Note that we'll apply this filter to a field that we didn't see in the query result, but that's not a problem. The quick way to set up a filter for a custom field outside the scope of our selection is to double-click on its name. In our case, it'll be Ship Date from the Orders table. This field will appear in the Query Columns grid here without the visible and grouping checkboxes. The Criteria For option is automatically set to 4 values, which means that it'll go through the original database records, not the grouped results like we have in Sum Quantity, for example. Alright, type in the date range, greater than or equal to January 1st, 1997, and less than the 1st of January, 1998. By the way, we're using MS Access date format here, but it may be different on other database servers. Okay, great. Now that we've applied the criteria, it's filtered out all the positions from the primary data that didn't fall in the span of this year's shipment. Now let's find out the top products shipped to each country in terms of their overall price. First, create a new column by typing an expression in the empty slot below the current expressions. Order details dot unit price multiplied by quantity, also from order details. As you can see here, you get suggestions as you type, so you don't need to type in the full names with the table names. Now name the new column Sum _ Total Price and set Aggregate by Sum. Okay, cool. The database server calculated it for us fast and easy, unlike in Excel where we'd have had to copy the formula to all the required rows. Now to understand which product shipments are in the lead, we need to sort the result. So we'll click Sort Type for Sum Total Price and select Descending. Now you'll see the sort order number appear, and this will be useful if you apply sorting to more than one query column. And we have a winner. It's Côte de Blé wine, supplied for more than 10,000, I assume dollars, to Denmark. Come to think of it, that's probably why it's now among the happiest countries in the world as of 2019. Well, Canada and the USA seem to love this French wine a lot too, so no direct correlation with happiness there. Anyway, let's get back on track. In this result, we can see the top product shipments to each country. We can also apply a secondary alphabetical sorting to product names. Set sorting to ascending here, and make a primary sorting order. The other sorting order will change accordingly. Now we have a product-oriented consumer insight with a secondary descending sorting by the total price. Okay, that's all well and good, but now we'd like to limit the results of our grouping. Let's exclude all items that sold less than 1,000 all told. Add a condition for Sum _ Total Price of greater than or equal to 1,000. And as you can see, all countries with smaller shipments got cleared out from the results as soon as we applied it. Unlike the date condition, which works for individual values, this condition works for groups or for calculated columns. Now let's talk about SQL and switch to the query text. When we use grouping, the criteria for group data are specified by the Having SQL clause, which includes a calculation in parentheses, while the criteria for source data are applied to the Where clause. The expressions with visibility checked appear in the select list, and if this checkbox is unchecked but you still have some options like sorting or criteria, it'll still remain in the request body. In this tutorial, we thoroughly covered grouping and filtering, and now you know how grouping works in SQL, how to create calculated columns, set criteria for individual values and groups, and how to use Active Query Builder in your day-to-day tasks. Thanks for watching and see you in the next tutorials.